Intention without an object is one thing.
Yeah.
Then I don't know how we got into this. Oh, because Jean asked a question. But I don't know the bridge, because I...
Oh, the bridge was, we came there through kind of inquiring into causal fields and outside, inside, and the structure.
And then the switch to what cause is, and the causal field is not actually cause and effect.
So, I wanted to say is like we have to know how it ends in order to know what happened.
Kind of.
It's like those films that begin with the end, and then you go through all that happened to get there.
And it reminds me.
I think this is very, very, very important to our question.
Yeah.
This. Really, because if we're talking about the intention, what's the question?
Here, I have it.
Original version?
Quality of...
What quality of intention or attention will enable us to engage the future in creative ways?
I wish you guys well with your fellowship.
Just what is happening right now.
Right.
Because now something real is surfacing.
But if it
what we
doesn't...
have to deal with, we have to deal with this. And we haven't dealt with it. We have cooked and we have done all the spiritual numbers. We all know how to deal with it. And now we come to the point where nothing of that works. So we do have to invent something new. So I'm quite good. Actually, I'm really, really good because this. It would have been wonderful if we could avoid it.
So still, this is the argument in my head, and I'm going to go right back in and work. But the argument in my head is that, and I agree with you. So now we have to invent a new way for people to be in collective together. But part of me wants to say, you need 3 good leaders.
Yeah.
You don't need collective. You need leadership, agentic.
Well, this is a
collective, but not just throw them together.
Exactly.
Because the bullshit can't always rise up. Because events are non-linear, and then we can pre-state all the starting conditions up to a certain event. Even if first of all, we can't know 100% for sure, but even if we could know 100% for sure all the starting conditions up for an event, we still cannot predict the event above a certain level of complexity because it's non-linear. And in fact, computers can't do this because when a computer's giving a non-linear equation, it goes on forever, right? It goes on forever, it can't solve it, and then they can prove that it's unsolvable. Now, in this level of complexity, something very interesting happens with cause and effect. If the pre-stated priors do not determine the next, they cannot be the cause of the effect. Right? This is all consistent with new work being done. This is science.
Researching wisdom is good, right? Because your wisdom texts, we understand, come from the first written records, but there's something that comes up through there and actually meets us, and wisdom arises in the space between me encountering that text that was written by someone else, somewhere else in time. And so there's a aha kind of thing, and I see the structure in an instant.
And when the effect comes into the occasion, actually concretizes, it actually makes the prior events, the anterior events, become causes.
But also with structure is cycling, iteration.
Backwards. So they're not prior causes. They're not causes that came before. They're anterior to the event.
And yet another aspect of structure is there's a little bit of that required to actually share it between us.
Okay, a very easy example. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay, I can only answer that if I just agree to step in an egg, then the egg came first, then the chicken, then the egg, and the step. And so there's one is only, in this question, there's only one can be conceived as being anterior and one posterior, but there's no real way to answer it in regular time.
A little bit.
A little bit of structure.
Yeah, yeah, and a little bit of habit.
It's not, it doesn't perfectly map, but we can use the language anterior and posterior so that we know, as you just did, you shifted into what the joke was in normal relative time, you shifted into causal perspective. So to make that clear, you can just use anterior and posterior. It's just a tool, because we can have our language work better for us.
Yes.
Then we can then continue in deeper. Now, when the event happens, the anterior aspect of that is, we still don't have time yet, okay? Because we're just looking, we're just get. It's called all that. What we usually call effects is no longer effects. They're anterior aspects of the actual occasion. To come full circle, but the structure is the material for its own self-transformation. Right? So the quality of the attention is in where you're operating from, not in the structures that are already there, because you can see them.
That's true. Yeah.
And they're the past, not the future.
And we were talking about making it dynamic, the structure, living with the structure. So design is something I interact with. It takes form, it comes to life.
No, a round table of leaders I'm talking about.
Anybody together, methodology,
Right.
That's right.
Well, yeah.
There's a shitload of difference between a triangle and a circle, so it won't tell you. What happened?
I know because it
I don't think you do know, actually.
It's about capacity, in the sense the degrees of freedom of the instrument through which the future is arising.